Multiple crews on scene, including KDKA's Chris Hoffman. And Chris, I'm understanding that you do have some new information that you're able to share with us.
Well, we know that, again, there's been that press conference at 11:30 that's expected to learn much more from Erica. At this point, we do know sources are saying 2 are dead. Now, as for the identities of those people, that is something we are still working to figure out. We got on scene probably about maybe 20 minutes ago. And at this point, pretty much where that neighborhood is pretty much up on that hillside right there. That's pretty much right across the street from the volunteer fire department here in Crescent. So they pretty much, once they got to the station, it really was just drive up the hill from them at this point. Obviously, several other responses at this point. Now, with where we are, we can't really see it because this is really a one-way in and one-way out type of neighborhood. So much of that road right now is being used by emergency services. Again, we are expected to learn a lot more. Now, with some aspect of how loud this was, you could hear us across the river into Swickley, Leedsdale, because pretty much the way this sits, like John was saying, it's on top of a hill. You've got a valley down there, and that's where you have like Leedsdale, Swickley, lots of those, the Quaker Valley School District area that sits down there. So it really just went over to there because other portions of Crescent Township is kind of hilly. It kind of flows into Moon. It's part of the Moon Area School District. We've reached out to them to see if they have anything to say on this. Still waiting to hear back. As you're looking at some video from the scene right now, because I even actually reached out because my parents' house is 5 minutes down the street. Reached out to my brother there. He says he didn't even hear it because of the way the hills sit. So Crescent is a uniquely shaped region, very tight-knit because it's only about 2,000 people in the entire township. But a lot of people all kind of know each other here based on, going to school, going to churches together, various community aspects. Some of the firefighters, one of them was talking to me, and, they're feeling this right now. Obviously, they know a lot of people in the community, so this impacted them at this point, kind of, going up there, seeing that happen in their neighborhood. But fortunately, it was more of a recessed house away from other homes, so it didn't cause some of that damage. We saw that happened last year in Plum, where those houses were so close. Fortunately, this wasn't some of the other neighborhoods. We're in Crescent. You do have some houses that are like standard subdivisions where you have houses kind of all going in a plan type of formation, but it wasn't one of those ones. And then on top of that, there was some damage done to nearby homes, but more from the percussion we're hearing from sources, not so much like fire damage. Now, as to the extent of up there, that's something we're still supposed to learn. That press conference starts in about 15 minutes. We will be streaming it here. We'll be staying live through that. So as we learn more, we're going to be letting you know that both on air and online. We're obviously going to be following this throughout the day today and the rest of the week as we continue to try to learn what happened and get some answers to all this. Back to you.
Chris, being that this is a close-knit community, you mentioned, 2,000 people living in that area. The explosion sounding so loud, a lot of people have heard from it. Some as far as, 8 miles away, we're getting reports, although you have family close by saying that they didn't hear anything. Have you seen a lot of activity, people who live in that area driving around, trying to see, the aftermath of this, trying to check on their homes and their properties?
Well, with where this kind of sits is kind of like John was explaining. It's a little bit more rural in this section. Because you have the valley where the fire department actually is, where we're staged at. We haven't really seen anyone out checking because it doesn't really seem like any damage spread to down here, which is just down the hill. We have seen some people that are up in that neighborhood, as Megan was talking about there, that were kind of not allowed to go back to their homes, mainly because that road is just being used by first responders at this point, because it really is a road that comes down off McGovern Boulevard. It's pretty much you go into the neighborhood, you go out the same way. So people haven't been able to really go rubbernecking, for lack of a better term, at this point to see what exactly happened up there. But the damage we're kind of seeing down below, it kind of almost looks like business as normal. You have McGovern Boulevard, which serves as a thoroughfare through parts of Moon, Crescent into Hopewell, and it kind of serves as a thoroughfare there along the Ohio River. So at this point, it's kind of business as usual. They haven't had to close that down. It really has been trying to minimize the impact on traffic. It really is, you just can't get up to the neighborhood where this actually happened.
All right, Chris, and important that, in fact, Allegheny County tweeted out almost right away that they need people to stay away from that area because, as you mentioned, it's a one-way in, one-way out. They need to make sure that emergency responders are able to get there. If we could set the scene once again for you.